Okay, Todd, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let me try. All right, so I can't share now because you are.
Yeah, do you want me
Could
to
you?
stop sharing so you can attempt to share
Yeah.
there? Yep.
Let me try share. Allow to share screen. Screen. This is allow to share screen. Share this. Okay, are we seeing something now? We're seeing an infinite number of screens. So if I.
Yep.
Are you seeing?
Yeah.
My slide now.
Yeah, that looks great. So that's what you'll want to share there. Okay. If you want to just stop sharing there, I will introduce the session here in just a second. Looks like we're having a few people join here. So.
Okay. Okay, so if I. Okay, that's going to work really well, I think.
Okay.
I've got that primed and ready to go. So looks like I won't see my the window here. Any questions? I won't see any chat or anything. So if you can, if there's something you want to interrupt me in flow and say, hey, look, we've got a question from, Billy in San Francisco. Interrupt me. If not,
sounds good.
We'll do it at the end.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Appreciate the folks that have shared their location. That I always like to see where folks are joining us from. So it looks like we've got East and West Coast of the United States represented. Harry and Rob, I assume you're both joining us from the UK. Thanks for joining us. Looks like India and Paris, France. Ireland has entered the chat, so appreciate that. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for this session. Great interview questions and how to answer them. This session will be with Malcolm Murphy. My name is Todd Adamson. I'm an enterprise account executive here at Consensus, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. DemoFest is presented by Consensus. Consensus is leading the world into the new era of demo automation. Our platform gets your buyers what they need when they need it. It then multiplies your revenue team's impact with unique insights on those buyers. As a result, you'll see faster close times, larger deals, and higher close rates. You can learn more at goconsensus.com or view the automated micro demo at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We encourage you to participate in today's session. On the right side of your console, you can see a few ways to engage with us throughout the session. The chat function will allow you to engage with us as well as other attendees in the session. Throughout the session, you may see a few polls. We encourage you to participate as your feedback is important to us. And our speaker will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the session. But we encourage you to ask those questions at any time through the Q&A box. You can also vote on those questions, and we will be monitoring those and getting those answered for you. If at any time you're having technical difficulties, you can head to the gear icon at the bottom of your screen. And here you'll see a help document to help troubleshoot common issues. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Malcolm started his career working for an ISP, building out the kinds of internet services that we now take for granted. In what now seems like a case of gamekeeper turned poacher, he then joined one of his suppliers as a pre-sales consultant, and his career direction was changed forever. He's held SE leadership roles in large companies, smaller companies, public companies, and privately held companies. Each and every time, he's driven by the desire to help those around him become as good as they can be. He currently serves as the Senior Director of Sales Engineering at Mimecast. And with that, I'll turn the rest of the time over to you, Malcolm.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Todd. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the session. If I can figure out the technology here. As Todd said, what I'm going to talk about is great interview questions and how to answer them. So this session will be useful for you if you're an individual contributor being interviewed, or also if you're a hiring manager interviewing. It's designed for both. The key thing, the reason why I want to do this session is we all have to interview. And interviews can be a great way of helping figure out hiring decisions. Do I want to join this company, or is this the right person to join my team? But only if the interview works well. And across my time, I've seen it work really well, but I've also seen it work less well. So I've seen interviewers not do a great job, and I've seen candidates not represent themselves in the best way. So what I want to do in this session, as I said, it's twofold. So if you're the candidate, what I'm going to show you is some of my favorite questions for interviewing sales engineers and others as well, but this is a sales engineering specific session. And I'm going to show you how to look beyond the question so that you can give a great answer. You might say that's cheating. You might say, hey, but I'm not giving you a formula. I'm not giving you the words. I'm giving you the understanding of what's behind the question so that you can represent yourself in the best way. If you're a hiring manager, if you're at the other side of the table, hopefully there's going to be something in here that questions that you can steal. Originally, when I was thinking, okay, what makes a great question, that was actually the definition. Every question that I'm going to share with you this afternoon, is a question either that I've stolen from someone else or that I know someone else has stolen from me. So we'll say shared rather than stolen. These questions are used. I know at least 2 hiring managers ask these questions. That may not be the best definition. So let's talk about what really makes a great question. And then in a moment, I'll talk about, okay, what makes a great answer. So the first thing about a great question is it's genuine. And what I mean by that is it's not a trick question. So I don't know who thought it was a great idea to ask how many ping pong balls will fill the Eiffel Tower or how many bridges there actually are in Madison County or any of those brain teasers or trick questions or, stump the chump kind of things. They don't have a place in an interview. They don't help. And the reason that they don't have a place in an interview is they don't help make a good hiring decision. So it might be fun to ask, but they don't help make a hiring decision. So it's a genuine question. You should be straight up asking a genuine question for genuine reasons. They should be relevant. And by that, I mean specifically, the question is designed to uncover something that is on my critical path towards making this hiring decision. It's relevant to the role. It's relevant to the person spec. The question is relevant. The answer is relevant. This is a big one. This is a big one. It's a big one for the question. It's a big one for the answer. They should be example based, behavioral. The question should be, give me an example of when you have. This is not an interview is not financial advice. So where a financial advisor will say past performance is no predictor of the future, the exact opposite is true in interviews. Past performance is a very good predictor of the future. If you can give me examples in an interview of where you've done the kinds of things that I am looking for, that is a very strong predictor that you will be able to do these things in the role. So the questions I'm asking should be designed to uncover examples of what you've done. So specific achievements, specific outcomes, specific goals. I'm asking specific questions about times you've done stuff, what the outcome was. The final thing about a great question is they invite follow-up questions. So do you like working in a team is not a great question because it's a closed question. It's not a great question on many levels. It's a closed question. Great questions, they should invite follow-up questions. So really, after I've had the first bit of your answer, I should be asking, tell me more. Tell me more is probably the question I ask most in an interview, because whatever the ones I tee up are, I always follow up with, tell me more about that. That was interesting. Tell me some more. So great questions are genuine, relevant, example-based, about achievement, and invite to tell me more. So how do you answer a great question? Well, I've got a similar acronym here. It's exactly the same thing. A great answer is genuine, so it's true. That should go without saying, but it's not always the case. Again, it should be relevant to the answer should be relevant, not necessarily to the question, but to the question behind the question, to the behavior, the skill, the characteristic, the competency that the interviewer is looking for. So look beyond the question and figure out, what do they really want to know here, and give a relevant answer. Again, couched in examples. So a relevant answer of, here is a time I did this thing that demonstrates that competency that's relevant to your role. And here's the achievement. Here's what the outcome was of that. And the last bit here is not tell me more, it's tell a story. Your answers should be telling me a story. They should be engaging. You know what? We're sales engineers. Storytelling is actually a competency and a skill in its own right. And it's one that you can demonstrate, not by saying, hey, I'm a great storyteller, but by actually telling me great stories in the interview. So let's actually skip on now to some of the questions. I've got about a dozen questions here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break them down. I'm going to share the question with you. I'm going to tell you what I think is behind the question. So when I ask this question, what is it that I'm looking for? What's the question really about? And then I'm going to tell you how to construct a great answer. I'm not going to tell you what the script is for the answer, because for each and every one of you on this call, the answer is going to be different. I actually don't think, and there's in the UK where I'm based, there was a news story recently. One of our very large employers announced that they're going to publish all of their interview questions ahead of time. I think that's a great idea, because again, one of the key things about a great question is you can't cheat. You can't fake an answer. That's one of the reasons why the trick questions that maybe we used to ask in the 90s, they don't work anymore, because anybody can go on the internet and look up how to, distinguish 8 balls, find the odd weight out in 3 ways. All of those brain teasers and what have you, trick questions, the answers are out there. So great questions are conversation starters. Great interviewers are looking through the conversation to understand what's being revealed, and great answers are showcasing the things that you want to showcase that are relevant to the job. So it's not cheating. Let's get on to the questions. Now, this may or may not be a great question, I don't know, but it's one that you're going to get asked. And it's very, very easy to think, oh, you're just being nice. It's an icebreaker. They're putting me at ease. Well, yes, there is an element of that. There is an element of it's a good way to start the conversation. But this question is not just an icebreaker. And I will share with you, you're not going to win the interview with the answer to this question, but you can lose. It is the case. I have written down in my notebook in an interview, 15 minutes after asking the question, tell me about yourself, while the question is still being answered, I have written down, talks too much. So it's not just an icebreaker. Don't be seduced into thinking, hey, I can talk about this. This is a predictable question. You should know your answer to this question. It's your chance to give your elevator pitch. The question I'm really asking when I say, tell me about yourself, is I'm saying, tell me your elevator pitch as it applies to this role. Give me the 90-second, maybe 3-minute summary of your skills and experience and competencies, so that I want to carry on talking with you about this role for the next 60 minutes. That's it. I probably don't care where you went to school. I probably don't care about who your neighbor was when you were 4 years old. I don't care about the reasons why all kinds of things happened. I care about, at this stage, predominantly your elevator pitch. So great answers to the question, tell me about yourself. They're relevant. They're succinct. I can't stress that enough. And hey, we're sales engineers. We do like to talk. You've got to be succinct in this point. A 5-minute answer is tolerable. A 15-minute answer is probably disqualifying you. And this is a good chance for you to show that you understand the role as well. It's a chance for you to say, okay, you're not going to say it explicitly, but through your answer, you're going to show me you understand what it is that I'm looking for. So that's what a great answer to that question looks like. So I'm then going to move into, well, I don't ask these questions in this order. There's sort of a random order to these questions. But you know what? Tell me about your home lab setup. Now, I guarantee at least one of you watching this session right now is going, ooh, I don't have a home lab setup. That's not necessarily what the question's about, although, again, those of us that do have home labs, you can the risk is you can talk quite a lot about your home lab setup. But the question's really about how do you stay sharp? So I'm assuming and Harry, that's a word just for you. I'm assuming in this question that you have a home lab. Okay, so it's a presumptive question, but really what I'm asking you is how do you keep yourself current? What's your playpen? How do you sharpen your skills? Because keeping yourself sharp is a critical sales engineer competency. So that's really what I'm about here. So yes, I am sort of interested, and we can geek out on the merits of VMware versus KVM versus whatever we've got. Or if you tell me how you've migrated everything, I used to have a VM box up there, but now I've got all cloud, and $200 a year gets me as much AWS as I can eat. Whatever the answer is, I don't necessarily care about all of the intricacies. I care that you care, and I care that you care about yourself and keeping yourself skilled, because that's actually a key competency. It's your key competitive advantage. Next one. Again, we're moving away from being engineers, and now let's be salespeople. Let's be sales engineers. So tell me about a deal that you've won that you're especially proud of. So take a minute to digest those words here, and I'm gonna highlight a couple. So tell me about a deal, and it's won, and you're proud of it. Think a little bit more. I'm asking about a specific deal. And what I'm really interested in is, okay, you won and you're proud of it. I'm interested in why. Why did you win? And why are you proud of it? Now, a lot of times people will give me answers, and the reason that they're proud of it is, oh, it was the big deal. It was big dollar value, or it was the one that no one else could do, or I got a lot of kudos internally, or those kinds of reasons. And they're okay. But what I'm actually after here is the why did you win? Now, a great answer to this question shows an understanding of the buyer. So what I'm really looking for here is, do you know what it takes to win? Do you know what it, and by win here, I guess I mean, do you know what it takes to position a solution in such a way that it solves the problem for the buyer? Do you partner with the buyer? Do you know how to do that? So if you just say, oh, I did my stock demo, it was great, they really loved me, and that's it. Yeah, okay, that might be true, but it doesn't show me that you're capable of getting down into the needs of the buyer, that you're capable of positioning what we've got and showcasing that in a way that's going to make a difference. That shows me that you can do a demo. It doesn't necessarily show me that you can help someone buy something, solve their problems. And that's really what this question's about. So be thoughtful. Be thoughtful. My personal answer to this question, I've got a couple, but there's one where the example I give, it's I learned an awful lot from this deal, because the question I asked, I didn't realize that the customer hadn't thought about it. I just asked them a casual question, which was, what are you doing about, in this case it was a staging environment, and it turned out they completely hadn't thought about staging environment. So we derailed the meeting that we're in, and we talked about something else that was a very specific need that they had, that their project plan hadn't addressed. So it was a great win because we were actually solving a problem for the customer even before they'd realized it was going to be a problem. So we saved them an awful lot of heartache downstream. That's the kind of thing that shows an understanding of the buyer, shows an understanding of the needs of the buyer, and shows an understanding. And I actually changed my own personal process on the back of that and what that situation revealed. That's a great answer. Now, having just asked you to tell me about a deal that you've won, everyone's happy and the interview's going really well at this point. I'm going to change the temperature completely. And I'm going to ask about a deal that you lost. And if there's anybody on the call who has interviewed with me, you'll then know that what I do next is I ask you for one that still hurts. So I'm really, and this is why you can't cheat. This is why it doesn't matter them telling you about this question beforehand, because the one that hurts is the one that hurts. And everybody on this session right now, you're all listening to this going, oh yeah, I've got a couple of those. They hurt. And that's actually what I'm after with this question. So again, I'm after a specific deal that was lost, and I want to know why it still hurts. And actually, the reason I want to know why it still hurts is because it reveals, or it should reveal, why you lost. And a great answer to this question, again, it demonstrates understanding and shows ownership. Okay, now I'll tell you what a terrible answer is, and I've had these answers quite a lot. Think about, just before I give you the explanation, just think about why what I'm about to say is a terrible answer. I did a great solution. I had great rapport with the customer. I gave them a solution that exactly met what they were looking for. But at the end of the day, the salesperson didn't sharpen his pencil, and we lost on price. I've heard that answer to this question more times than I'm comfortable with. And what I'd invite you as a sales engineer to think about, if you think that's an okay answer, is, well, price is related to value. And if you're saying the salesperson didn't sharpen the pencil, so the customer says, hey, it was price, we lost on price, I invite you to consider actually what the situation was is the customer didn't see enough value in the solution that you've proposed. Have you proposed a $100,000 solution to a $50,000 problem? If your competitor genuinely offered an equivalent solution at a different price, then that's a different matter. But even so, part of the job of being a sales engineer is to represent the solution in a way that the customer appreciates the value of it. And appreciating value equals being willing to pay for it. So when you say, hey, we lost on price, what I hear is I didn't understand the needs of the customer correctly, so I over-engineered the solution, or I wasn't able to articulate the value in such a way that they could give me the money that we wanted for that. That's the first thing that's wrong with that answer. And the second thing that's wrong with that answer is there's no ownership. I'm blaming my colleague. I'm blaming the salesperson for, quote, not sharpening his pencil. I can't stand that phrase, but I've heard it more than once. So a great answer shows ownership. Hey, we lost this because we did something wrong. It might be I did something wrong. It might be we did something wrong. The next level of this answer is, and here's what I did subsequently to learn from it. And that's actually one of my follow-up questions. If you don't volunteer the answer is, okay, so how did you avoid that next time? So the answer might be, we thought we were completely ahead in the deal. We had our champion. He was advocating for us. What we didn't realize was there was some political goings on inside the company where another department was solving the same problem using a different piece of technology. We didn't cover those people. and our competitor basically won the internal discussion. That's an okay answer. I now understand what went wrong. We didn't cover the people we need. What I learned from that is we need to always be asking the question, who else is involved in the decision? We need to not just narrow in on our single champion. We need to understand that opportunities inside organizations are multi-threaded. We need to always be seeking out other stakeholders. And a specific example was that we then went to sell to XYZ competitor, XYZ company, a similar organization. And in that case, I was able to find a stakeholder we didn't know about, and they were perhaps motivated by the competitor, and we were able to neutralize that before it became a problem. That's a very good answer. That's great +1. Someone shows that kind of ownership and learning from a loss. Another terrible answer is, I've never lost a deal. If you never lost a deal, I'm genuinely very happy for you, but you've missed out on lots and lots of growth opportunities. So I don't want to be the first person where you find out what it's like to lose. We win some, we lose some. So don't pretend that you've never lost. Let's figure out how you deal with the loss. That's what's important to me. Moving on. The first time I saw someone ask this question, it blew my mind. I think this is a really, really powerful question. So I very much hats off to a chap called Earl Culver, who works at Infoblox at the moment. He was the one who put me onto this question. I think it's really good. And this question is, it's clearly about preparation. How did you prepare for this interview? Little stat for you. 93% of hiring managers will mark you down if you don't check them out on LinkedIn. So I guess everyone knows LinkedIn tells you who's viewed your profile. So if a candidate's interviewing with me, I look and say, have you checked me out on LinkedIn? Now, maybe that's an ego thing, but it's just good preparation. And so it is the case. This data is from a survey that I did last year, because I was interviewing and candidates weren't checking me out on LinkedIn. It's like, is it my ego, or are they missing a trick? And it turns out managers think you're missing a trick. So even if you've got LinkedIn Premium and you can hide the fact that you're checking me out, disable that so it shows up in my feed so I know that you've checked me out, because it makes a difference. But what this question is really about, it's not about, do you check me out on LinkedIn? And that's table stakes. That's the basic part of preparation that you should be doing. The question is really asking, how do you prepare for customer meetings? So if you think about it, an interview is just like a sales meeting. The only difference is the product, the solution is you. So I'm looking at your preparation for this interview as a proxy for how you prepare for a customer meeting. Because quite frankly, the product you're selling in an interview, is way more valuable than the solution you might be selling for whatever company you're working for. You're more invested in that, in yourself, than you are in the company product. So if you don't prepare well for an interview, it's kind of telling me you're not going to prepare well for customer meetings. So if you think about it that way, what's the right amount of preparation? Look at the interviewer, look at their LinkedIn, look at what they've published on the internet, look at the colleagues, look at the kind of people they've been hiring recently. There's lots and lots of stuff that you can do. But the question specifically asks you, how did you prepare for this interview? So there's no two ways about it. A great answer depends on great preparation. So I reviewed the job spec. I looked at the specific skills that I've got and how they apply here. And I checked you out on LinkedIn. I looked at your predecessor. I looked at a couple of your team members. I spoke to someone who I've got a mutual connection who knows what the culture's like inside Mimecast. So I did that. Perfectly sensible answer. There's no way to fake this. You can't give me a good answer if you didn't do the preparation. And the preparation isn't really, did you check out my internet presence? The preparation really is, I'm judging how well I think you'll prepare for a customer meeting based on how well you prepare for this. So I love this question. I love this question. It's very, very powerful. Moving on. Lots of words on this slide. But this slide's about feedback. And specifically, it's about negative feedback. It's about someone telling me something. It could be a coworker, could be a team member, could be a salesperson, could be a customer, could be a product manager, could be my manager. They gave me some feedback, and either I didn't like it or I didn't agree with it. Now, some people will answer that and say, it's never happened. I've never had any negative feedback that I didn't like, or all feedback's a gift and I take it and it's fantastic. And that sort of doesn't work for me, because we're all people, we're all human, and the best will in the world. It's going to make you take a step back when you get negative feedback, or it means that you're not pushing the envelope. So saying, hey, that's never happened, that's probably a very difficult answer. So in this question, when you hear this question the first time, then it might be take a moment to think of a suitable example. But the question's really asking about your emotional intelligence and your mindset. Do you have a growth mindset? So, and it's worded, either you didn't like it or you didn't agree with it. So that's where the growth mindset piece comes in. So a great answer, again, specific examples. Okay, I'm looking for specifics. I'm looking for a specific example. Hey, look, I was here is an example. I'll give an example from my own time of some feedback I got that I didn't like and didn't agree with. I was in a management role. I got some feedback from my director that I didn't understand the products that we were selling to the level that he thought I should. And he actually gave me, I got quite a negative performance review on the back of that. I didn't like to hear that. And I didn't agree. So that's the example I can give. I can tell you exactly what I didn't like, and okay. But then here's the thing: what did I do with the feedback? Well, I went away and I stewed for a little bit. I was the exact cartoon person with the steam coming out of the ears, walking around, swearing at the mirror, but all very. I had my grief stages, and then I deconstructed the feedback, and I looked at, okay, what bits can I take and what bits do I not want to take, and I worked out a plan. And that's the answer. The specifics of the plan and all the rest of it are not relevant for today. This isn't about me, but that's an example of the answer. Specific example can break down what I didn't like and why I didn't like it, and then the most important thing is, okay, what did you do with the feedback? It's actually okay to say, I did nothing with it. I went away, I thought about it, I decided I didn't agree with the feedback, and I didn't action it. That's, in certain cases, that's exactly the right thing to do. So don't be afraid, if that's the case, to say, hey, I didn't do that. Just bear in mind, usually there are cases where some of the feedback is relevant. So you've got to be thoughtful about it, but there's a fine line between, taking on board useful feedback and just making sure everyone has an opinion. You don't necessarily have to abide by it. But that's what we're looking for: your emotional intelligence, your growth mindset, and your ability to take action based on the feedback. Okay, similar one here. Again, lots and lots of words. So tell me about a time you disagreed with a sales colleague on the best way to progress an opportunity. We're going to spend a bit of time on this one. So keywords here: disagreement with a colleague. You're disagreeing. And it's about the best way to move an opportunity forward. So we're in a sales situation. My salesperson maybe wants to do a POC, I think that's the right thing. And I think, hey, we haven't done enough discovery yet. I don't know if anyone's ever had that experience. Could be something similar. So what am I actually asking? All sorts of things. And I've got 5 or 6 things I'm going to break this down into here, and it's probably not exhaustive. But the first thing is, are you thinking about winning the opportunity? So do you have a view on the goal? You've got the goal in mind. Are you thinking about what it's going to take to win the opportunity, or are you simply thinking about the next sales engineering task? Hey, I've got to do a demo today because I've been asked to do a demo. But are you now thinking, well, this demo isn't the right thing to move forward? I'm actually thinking about the outcome, not the task. That's the first part. Take this a step further. Are you actively thinking about the strategy for the opportunity? That's part of it, but are you willing to contribute to that strategy? Do you have an opinion? Are you willing to speak up? Are you willing to stand up and be counted? Maybe a different way of phrasing that is, are you a business partner to your sales colleagues, or are you a resource? And I'll give you a hint. If you're interviewing with me, I very much prefer you to be a partner to your sales colleagues. It's a sales engineer and salesperson. They have different roles in a sales campaign. They are partners. They are not, it's not a hierarchical relationship. It's an equal relationship. So are you able and willing to contribute as a business partner to your sales colleague, to contribute to the opportunity strategy? And are you willing to stand up for what you think is the best way forward? And that's equally important. You've got to be, if you have an opinion, if you think something is the right thing to do, then you've got to be able to advocate for it. You've got to be able to express your opinion, put your views forward. Fine line, right? Because you don't always get your way. In fact, probably as a sales engineer, we lose more of those arguments than we win. That's okay. Because then, okay, next piece is, can you disagree and commit? So if we've had the debate and the conclusion is, okay, I hear what you're saying, but we're not going to do it your way. We're going to move in this direction. Okay, can you commit to that? And can you not? And this is where I haven't spoken about this because it's more about interview strategy rather than answering questions. But maybe this is where I circle back to the example question about a deal that you've lost, because oftentimes what happens is the same example comes up, and it turns out that we haven't disagreed in commit because what they say in the here's why we did the deal, the salesperson didn't listen to me, and they came up with a stupid strategy and it didn't work. That's not committing to the strategy. That's not disagree and commit. That's disagree and commit, and that's not being a great team member. So a great answer to this question around disagreeing with a sales colleague about a way forward for an opportunity showcases how you partner with sales. Okay, you're coming to the table with ideas about how to win the business. And winning the business means, probably our contribution is demonstrating value, uncovering the needs of the buyer, moving forward. So that's what a great answer does. It showcases your skills in that area. Give you another hint here. An answer that says, I've never disagreed with a salesperson, probably suggests to me that you're not contributing enough. So yes, we don't need to be arguing every 2 minutes with every deal, but there should be some friction. There should be some dynamic tension, because that's where the growth is happening, at those margins where we don't see eye to eye. If everybody sees eye to eye all the time, or if you don't see eye to eye but you're not willing to speak up, both of those situations are bad. So do you see where you can add value in a different way? Are you willing to stand up and be counted in a respectful partnership way that's aimed at winning the business? That's what a great answer is going to show me. Now, I got asked this question in an interview. So I stole this from my interviewer, and I ended up being successful in getting the job. And we got to deconstruct what he was doing with this question, because it's really about motivation. So this question, interviewers are scared to ask it. So if you're a hiring manager, really get down into this one, because it's useful at many levels. So why are you looking to leave your current job? Really, I'm asking about your motivation. But there's lots of stuff that's going to get revealed in the answer, because I'm also asking, how self-aware are you? Do you know why you're looking to leave the job? Because there's two parts to changing job. One is, I'm attracted by what's on offer, the shiny thing of the beautiful new company with the stock options and the great technology and the big salary. That's one thing, I'm moving towards it. But I'm also moving away from, also leaving where I am today. So how self-aware are you? How well do you know what it is that drives you, that you like, that you don't like? And how actively are you managing your career? Do you have a plan for this next career move? When you come and work for me, do you have a plan? Do you know what you want? And I need to know that as a hiring manager, because I'm asking the question, are you a fit for me? But I'm also asking the question, am I a fit for you? Because, if you say, I only work well in companies with green triangles, and I know I'm a company that only has blue squares and we never see a green triangle, then there's an asymmetry of information. I know stuff that you don't know. And if I ask you, hey, do you need green triangles? In an interview, you're going to say, no, it's okay, I can cope. But if we talk about what are your reasons for leaving, what's your motivations, if I can uncover those properly, then we can find out and avoid a mistake on both parts. And I would say that as a hiring manager, it's as much my obligation to stop you making a bad choice, even if I really wanted to hire you. If I know it's not a fit for you, I should be transparent about that. We can have a discussion. I'm not going to say, oh, I don't think it's fit for you, you reject it, but I can say, I really want to hire you, but I don't think this job's what you want. That's a good conversation to have, because I can try and circumvent and avoid the situation. And this is what, when this question was asked of me, this is what the interviewer was actually getting at. He didn't believe I was actually going to leave where I was. He thought it was possible I was simply interviewing because I had some short-term dissatisfaction. And we actually got down to, in that conversation, what would it take for them? What would they have to do to make you stay? So really uncovered my motivations and what my needs were in a way that I didn't appreciate at the time. But it made me look at my career steps in a different way. So as a hiring manager, it's a good way for me to avoid the situation where I make you an offer, or I want to make you an offer, but you stay put, or you go somewhere else, or you accept the dreaded counter offer. So again, great answers at demonstrating self-awareness. So self-awareness comes up multiple times, but this is what I'm looking for. And actually, again, it's a consistency in the interview pattern. So this is, again, it's partly why you can't fake it, because if there's an inconsistency between what you say for the different answers, that inconsistency will reveal itself and it will reveal the untruth. And again, it's understanding what drives you and motivates you, and that you know what that is, so that you're working towards it. Now, I've got a great follow-up question to this. This is one to, in a minute when I reveal what the question is going to be, at least one of you on the call, if not more than half of you, are going to recoil in this question. You're going to say, you can't ask that, and I wouldn't know how to answer that. But the question is, okay, you've just told me all the things that you dislike, or the reasons you dislike your current environment that are causing you to want to leave. Yeah. So what did your manager say when you told them? Now, on the face of it, you think, oh, I'm not telling my manager I'm interviewing, but that's not what the question's asking. The question's asking the things that are motivating you to want to look outside of your company, the dissatisfaction. You have spoken to your manager about what those things are, haven't you? Well, that's, again, that might sound slightly strange, but what this is revealing, a great answer shows that you've got a two-way relationship with your manager. That you've got some transparency, that you've got some trust, that you've got some honesty. Now, I know there are some managers out there with whom you can't have that relationship. But I also know that there are a lot of people that aren't taking the right steps, or aren't being transparent enough with their organizations, with their managers, to say, hey, look, I'm not happy here. I'm not getting the growth opportunities I want, or I'm not getting this, or I don't feel you're investing in my career, or whatever it might be. I'm not paid enough. Whatever the reasons are, okay? I think we as individuals have a responsibility to put it to our companies, our managers, to give them the opportunity to respond to us. And again, that's a little bit about emotional intelligence. It's a little bit about the individual manager that you've got. It's also, and if you're interpreting this as, hey, this is the interviewer saying this is the kind of manager relationship they would want to have with me, then that's a good way of interpreting it. That is me saying, hey, I would expect you to tell me if these things were bothering you. So feels a little bit strange the first time you think about it, but this is actually a great question, and it stops. It definitely makes people think. So we talked about why I'm looking to leave. So the obvious next question is, why did you apply for this job? There's lots of jobs out there. Why did you apply for this job? Why are we talking today? Now, you think about some of the questions that I've already shared with you, and we've talked about skills and motivations and competencies. So this question is really asking, based on what you know, why is this a fit for you and your skills and your motivations? It's basically inviting you to give me the elevator pitch again, based on what you know. So again, it's the 75th time in this presentation I've used self-awareness. But a great answer demonstrates that self-awareness. I applied for this job because it's the technology area X, it's customer segment Y. That's what I really like to do. And I want to grow in area Z. And this job offers me that opportunity in a way that I'm not getting where I currently am. And then I know what the job is looking for, what the hiring manager is looking for, so that I can sell myself, so I can demonstrate my competencies and how they fit into that requirement. So it's not just about, oh, you've got a great brand name and I need a job. That might be true, but give me a different truth. Give me a different truth that shows that there's something in this for you beyond a paycheck. That's a good answer. But a great answer tells me about a little bit more about your hierarchy of needs, and that you know that this is a fit for you. Wow. That's asking me about books. What was the last book you read? Now, there's a couple of people in my team right now who, if I do ask them this question, I get an answer. Ooh, struggle with that. So I'm not necessarily asking about books, with one exception. If you list reading on your resume as a hobby, I do expect you to have read a book. So that I will talk to you. Put it on your resume. I like reading. Then I'm asking you about books. But really, this question is about curiosity. Okay, so it could be books. It could be podcasts. It could be TED Talks. It could be, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But a great answer to the question, hey, what are you reading at the moment? Or what was the last thing you read? Or recommend me a management book. I want to know that you're a student of the game. And whether that game's the technology, whether that game's selling, whether that game's management, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. But as a sales engineer, I kind of expect you to have a curiosity and a desire to improve. And an innocuous question like, hey, what are you reading at the moment, tells me, or the answer to that reveals a lot to me about how seriously you take your own career and your own development, and the effort that you're willing to put in for that. It's a critical competency for a sales engineer. So it might be, oh, look, I can't read books, but you know what? Audiobooks. I'm listening to Atomic Habits. I've got my Spotify Premium. Atomic Habits is on there. Happy days. Fantastic. We might then get into a little conversation of, and what did you do with Atomic Habits and how did it move forward? Doesn't matter. Show me that you're a student of the game. Show me that if I hire you today, in 12 months' time, you're going to have done some work to help yourself get better. And we come to the end. Again, we started with tell me about yourself, entirely predictable question, and we're going to finish with, do you have any questions for me? Again, in the same way as tell me about yourself, take this seriously, because this is an opportunity, and it's an opportunity most candidates, in my experience, don't do very well with. So weak answers focus on either what you want. So what's the pay like? How many holidays is it? That kind of thing, or the superficial. And I hesitate with this as a superficial example, but the question says, tell me about the culture. Yeah, that's not a great use of the time. Okay, what I'm really asking for when I say, have you got any questions, is I'm really asking, show me your discovery skills. Here's your opportunity to ask me questions. So discovery is a key competence for sales engineers. So do some discovery on me. So great answers get to the heart of the problem that I'm trying to solve. Hey, so think of me as a customer. The product you're selling is you. The problem I have, I've decided the solution is hire a sales engineer. Okay, but get behind that. What do I need that sales engineer to do? Why am I hiring a sales engineer? What's the heart of the problem? Because if you can understand the heart of the problem that I'm trying to solve, then you can position yourself as that unique solution. Or you can qualify yourself out. So great answers also help you decide if this is the right role for you. So think deeper about, have you got any questions for me? Again, this is quite difficult. This is quite difficult. But the super, what's your onboarding process like? It doesn't matter. Every company's got an onboarding process. I'm going to tell you mine's fantastic. Actually, Mimecast is pretty good. But every company, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, is going to tell you it's pretty good. But the questions that really help me decide if you're going to fix the problems that this headcount is going to fix, they're the ones that are interesting, and they help you position yourself and maybe restate your elevator pitch. Final thought. And this is for hiring managers. Consider asking that question earlier in the interview. And actually, candidates, consider asking your questions earlier in the interview as well. And the reason I say that is we have 55-minute interview, and then at the end I say, have you got any questions? And you throw a couple of questions out at me, and they're a bit superficial, and it's a waste of time. Or you actually throw out a couple of great questions at me, and what you discover from those questions completely changes the nature of the answers you'd have given me in the last 50 minutes. So on my quest to make the whole interviewing in the world better, think about just checking in with the candidate at the start of the interview, saying, okay, let's just recheck your understanding before we get in. Have you got any questions? Or if you're a candidate, I appreciate it's a very, very difficult thing to do as a candidate. But if you're a candidate, maybe recheck as well. In exactly the same way that you would do in a customer meeting. I'm checking my understanding. I just want to requalify a couple of things. And now I'm going to talk to you about my solution. So that's a potentially interesting thing to do. So thank you. I've rattled on now for 50 minutes or so with some what I consider to be great interview questions. I've deconstructed them. I've explained why I think they're great, what's behind the question, and I've positioned how you can start to construct an answer. I will throw in the 5 minutes or so that we have left. I'll throw it over to questions from everyone else if we have any.
Thanks, Malcolm. Great session. Tons of engagement in the chat. Really appreciate everyone and the thoughtfulness you put into the chat and such. We've got quite a few here in the Q&A. I'm just going to go with the top rated ones first. And so the first one here comes from Claudia. Job market is rough right now, especially in the USA, so candidates are having to do more to stand out. What strategies can candidates use to effectively differentiate themselves and demonstrate their unique value during an interview?
So short version, I would say to that, Claudia, is think of the interview as a sales call, and don't just tell me that you do these things, show me these things. So it's about the preparation, it's about the discovery, uncover my needs, figure out the problem I'm trying to solve. And I know superficially it's, hey, there's a space on the organogram and I've got to get a warm body in that space. But it's so much more than that. What's the difference between, Bob and Dave is it's what they're going to do for me and how they're going to actually solve the problems. So you use the same skills that you would use with a customer, use those on me, and position yourself accordingly.
Great. Let's go to another one here. Let's see. I really like this one. Let's share this one. From Patrick, if someone clearly doesn't understand the question behind the question, do you ever stop them and say, here's why I asked that?
Yes, I have been known to do that, Patrick. Yes. So sometimes I do, say, look, what I'm really after is this. Let me help you out there. Yes, so that does happen. And maybe that's telling me I'm being a bit too obtuse with the questions, but yes, sometimes that does happen.
Great. Let's do another one here from Teresa. You mentioned researching interviews on LinkedIn beforehand. Is it appropriate to chat with them before, after, or both? And what's the best way to initiate a conversation?
I only speak for myself here. Yeah, of course it's appropriate. The way to think about this is you get that 1 hour slot, or in the US it might even be that 30-minute slot. I don't know how anyone can do anything in 30 minutes, but it seems to be the norm in the US. You get that window, right? So if by reaching out ahead of time, you can do things that maximize the impact of that 30, 45, 60-minute window, that's a great thing to do. Okay, it's respectful of my time and it's showcasing your ability to sell. So that's great. The best way to initiate a conversation, send a connection request, or if you've got InMails, ping me InMails and say, look, I know we're meeting in a couple of days' time. Can I clarify my understanding, or is there anything specific you want to cover on? Just checking you've got my resume, worth checking, because sometimes hiring managers don't always read them beforehand. But try and prompt it with a question. Try and prompt it with some insight even before. So a connection request that says, hey, we're speaking on Thursday, I'd love to connect. Tell me anything you want me to know. That's no value. So you've got to connect with insight to add some value.
Well, great. Great questions and answers. Really appreciated that session, Malcolm. With that, we have just a few seconds here to wrap up, and just wanted to let everyone know we're very excited to bringing DemoFest live on the road again, as we've done in the past couple of years. We already had a very excellent one in San Francisco earlier this year in February, and we can't wait to be back in London and New York City again later this year. I think Malcolm and a few others here in the chat will probably be at our London event. There's also a London happy hour I posted a link to in the chat that will be taking place on the 6th of that. So you can learn more about that here. And then make sure to visit our expo hall. We don't have any transfer of money that takes place here. So please support those that have made these sessions possible. And here are the upcoming sessions. And if you wouldn't mind filling out the survey responses for this session, we'd be very appreciative if you would do that. So with that, we'll let you get to your next sessions, and have a great day, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, great job, Malcolm. I think we're no longer live here. So, but yeah, appreciated your help with that. So.
Oh, yes, a little bit to the wire with the technology, but yeah, it's good. So some really those couple of questions were really good. So
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, people had some. I wish I could share the whole chat transcript with you. I don't know if there's a way to capture that, but lots of very insightful stuff in the chat. I tried to prompt most of them to put it over in the Q&A too, which I think we captured a lot there. But yeah, tons of engagement with people responding to. Can you still see that chat? We can leave this open.
Yeah, I can. Is there a way to capture?
I wonder if I can just do a big grab, copy, and paste here. Let me see if I can do that. And if I can, I'll put it like in a. Let's see, load old messages. Let me go back to the start here. I'm going to try and capture it all just with a copy and paste. I imagine it's probably archived somewhere, but let's see, copy. Let me see if I can save this to a document. Yeah, I've got it all here. So I pasted it into a doc. It looks like it all saved. Some of it might be a little hard to understand the context, but you can probably go back as you review. I'm trying to think when we do the on-demand of this, if the chat is visible as part of the on-demand recording too, that would probably let you know when those questions were asked and what they were in response to. But
okay, I'll yeah. So if you shoot those over to me, Todd, I'll I'll have a think about something. Maybe we'll find a way to capture the answers or provide the answers separately.
Oh yeah, and I should maybe, just because I'm paranoid, I'll try and capture all of the Q&A too. Let's see if I can. I imagine this platform archives it, but well, I better expand some of these before I capture it. We'll have to go to read more here.
Yeah, we've got some Q&A. Q&A.
I wanted to get to Harry's question. What if someone doesn't read books? But
well,
I figured
Harry used to work for me, so
I know, and he's like one of the best.
Of course you do, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the best like comedians I know. Like the comments just make me laugh. He's one person that can always make me laugh. So, yeah. So I will. I'll grab all these Q&As here too, and I imagine our platform saves us. But just because I'm paranoid, I'll copy those into that doc too and send it to you. So, awesome. Well, how many DemoFest sessions is this for you? You've done like 3 or 4 at least, haven't you?
Yeah, I think this is it. This might be the 3rd virtual one. I've done one of the in-persons at London. So yeah, it's. You'd think I would know the technology by now because you keep using the same platform, and I keep forgetting. So
that's all right. It is a little tricky. Like when I went to get back in there, the fact that you can set up your profile in advance, but you have to actually, every time you come in, click create profile to advance past that screen. I think it should say like update profile or enter event.
Yeah.
You know, but because we were doing dry runs with Sammy, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys are getting in here because I'm at this screen and I've already created my profile. But awesome. So
well, we got it done. We got it done.
All right. Well, I'll let you get back to the rest of your evening over there, or any other sessions you want to attend. But really appreciate it. That was probably one of the most informative sessions I've seen on questions and things like that. You know.
Fantastic. Well, glad to be useful. That's useful. I'm on a mission to make Hirie. I'm going to make interviews great again. That's my plan.
yeah, and I plugged that June 6th happy hour event too, and a few of the folks in the session that were based in the UK will be there. So I imagine if you'll be there, you'll have a chance to meet some of them face to face too. So
yeah, and unfortunately I'm traveling that week. So I saw when Adam posted it on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago. It was like, dude, I'm not around. So, yeah.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right, Todd.
Okay.
I'm going to get going.
Okay.
Take it easy. Thanks very much. Appreciate your help.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye now.